Joining us on the Shore Sports Network for a conversation is a guy I'll introduce this way. I've been asked over my 40 plus years in this business to come up at times with a list of the top 5 or top 10 sports personalities I've gotten to know. And this guy on any list has always been on one of them. I remember him from his Little League days over in Seaside, playing Little League baseball, and followed him throughout his high school and college careers. Delighted to follow him through his college coaching career, and more than anything, delighted to call him a friend. And this is Joe Scott, the head basketball coach at the Air Force Academy, who joins us on this chat. And Joe, really good to catch up with you.
Kevin, great to see you. Really appreciate you having me on. And all you did was make you and I both seem really a lot older these days as we try to keep staying young. And I'm lucky that I get to do what I'm doing because it obviously helps keep you young.
No question about it. Of course, I think it was on March 31st, you were named the head basketball coach at Air Force Academy. Who says you can't go home again? Because for you, it is going home. And we'll sort of get back to that in a second. But I need to start because I think today when you see anyone you haven't seen in a while, the first thing you ask them is, how are you doing through this crisis we're in? And I should mention, we're talking to you. You're in Georgia. Not much longer, but you're in Georgia with your family. You'll be on your way to Colorado soon. But how are you and your family doing?
We're doing fine. You know, we've been fortunate to be able to stay safe throughout all this. Obviously, we have 2 sons who are going to be 17 and 19. One's going to college, be going to college in the fall, and then our younger one will be a junior. So I think during this time, that's a bit of it's a challenge when what's happened, especially for our senior, to have all the senior year, you know, no graduation, no prom, no senior trip, whatever those rites of passage are, to have 0. You know, I have a real new appreciation for what those rites of passage, how important they are. And but we got our health. Things are fine with our family, so we're not complaining. But it's a little different down here in Georgia. We first state to open up, so just trying to make sure we stay safe as best we can. And you know, we talked before about your family. I think we're pretty fortunate so far that, as best we know, you know, we've been fortunate with our friends and family in regards to this, you know, to the virus.
Yeah, it looks like you actually were able to get a haircut at some point.
Well, that was my first foray into the brave new world. Let me tell you, it was. Then I went to the airport because we flew out to Colorado, and just so that first it was sitting in the hair cutting chair, and then second we were in the airport, and I was waiting for Rod Serling to pop out behind, you know, one of the food places that was shuttered and say, you know, United States 2020.
Yeah,
that's what it's like. But I think, one, we had masks at both places. I have masks, and you just got to make sure that I think, following you follow the guidelines as best you can. Make sure you're thinking of others during this time. And I think if you think of others, that helps you do the right things.
Of course, it makes it even more challenging for you logistically. You're in the process of moving. You have one son who's graduating from high school, another who's finishing up a year in high school. So it's got to be a lot of challenges there to try and get all this stuff done with all the stuff that's going on.
It's been we've done this before, and they've all been challenges, but this one seems to have been the most challenging because of those factors. But again, I'll stress, we're fortunate, we're grateful, we're extremely grateful. My wife and I couldn't be happier with, you know, our set of circumstances personally, and this opportunity that we have again, like you said earlier, to be able to be going back to be a head coach again, and to be able to do it at a place that and both our children were born there in Colorado Springs. They spent, you know, that's what they call home. And, you know, we're just fortunate and grateful to be able to have this opportunity. And we're really looking forward to having these things move on so that we can get out there and start anew because we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Now, for those that don't know, Joe is he's a Shore native, grew up in Pelican Island, went to Toms River High School East, was a 3-sport standout there, still holds the Raiders' career scoring record in basketball with over 1,500 points, played football and baseball as well, had an outstanding career at Princeton University, uh, Notre Dame Law School, then began his college coaching career really at Monmouth University in 1991 and has moved on, has had head coaching stints at Air Force, his alma mater, Princeton, the University of Denver. Last 4 years was an assistant, two places, Holy Cross for 2 years, and the University of Georgia, where you are right now, still residing in that area for the past 2 years. So I say that now you're going back to Air Force. You had your most success as a coach at Air Force, and I ask you the question, do you regret leaving there?
Well, you know, it's it's a career, and when you say it's a career, there's a lot of parts and experiences to that career. So again, I'm lucky that at this juncture of my career and in my life to be able to be going back to a place that we know is special. We know the reasons why it's special. There's people to us that are still there who were there when we won the Mountain West in 2004. So it's, I'm just really lucky to be able to be going back to that place because of what you said. In the grand scheme of things, after all my experiences of coaching, they've led me back to this place. And, I think it's, right place, right time, right person. And, couldn't be happier about it. And I know that all my experiences are really going to be helpful to me this time around at Air Force. It's 2020. It's not 2000 when we took over and when they'd had 22 consecutive losing seasons. It's not 2004 when we won the Mountain West, when they said, can't believe you could ever do that at Air Force. And it's 2020. And I've had some different experiences since 2004. And to be honest, the last 4 years where, like you mentioned earlier, to go back to being an assistant coach at Holy Cross with Bill Carmody and at Georgia, the last 2 years, different experiences really gave me the opportunity to take a step back, look at coaching through a different lens after being a head coach for 16 years. And these last 4 years have been extremely valuable to me, will be going forward, at Air Force in 2020. Obviously, the prior experiences, the Coach Kirill in me, the where I come from and the values that I believe in basketball wise, they'll still be there. But the experiences that I've had will really be helpful in coaching, our guys in 2020. It's a different time. It's, kids are different. And I'm not saying that in a like, oh, kids are different. No, they are. And it's a positive. And you have to know as a coach how to make those differences be positives. And these last 4 years have been really helpful for me. And I can't wait to coach these guys, having had the experience I've had the last 4 years.
What is it, do you think, that makes you mesh so well with the young men you coached at Air Force your first go around and hopefully your second go around?
Yeah, I just think, obviously, first and foremost, we believe in education. We believe in college basketball. It's still college basketball. I always, again, I'll bring up Coach Kirill again. I mean, we believe in education. We believe in, two things. We always say that the life parts and the skill parts. We coach both. The life parts are actually the things that put you over the hump and make you be a really good basketball team. The skill parts give you the chance. You recruit the skill parts, you coach the life parts, and you bring those two things together. And the life parts are the education. The life parts are the character. The life parts are the integrity. And we believe in playing basketball that way. Playing the game with integrity. Playing a game where you value possessions. You value throwing the extra pass. You value getting back on defense every time. In the end, you value the things that make you win, because we're playing to win. And I just think at the academy, all those things are part and parcel of the place. All those things are part and parcel of the people there. And they're what I believe in. And there, you even take it another notch. I think what really helps is the way that I coach, the way that we coach, the way that we play, those values, they match with the institution. And it doesn't always mean, people always said, oh, those kids are so disciplined. Well, actually, in some respects, we play basketball in a very disciplined, committed, creative way. And sometimes there at the academy, through basketball, we really help those guys understand what the academy is trying to teach them every day in their other lives. So there's a really good meshing of that, to use your word. And I think that's part of it. And really what it is, it allows me to really, and my staff to really coach the way we want to coach the game the way that we see the game. And that's a big thing, the way we see the game. It's not thinking, it's you see the game. I learned this again from Coach Carrillo. You see the game, and what you see tells you what to think, not the other way around. What if you let what you think be the starting point, it clouds your vision because you already have something in your mind. You shrink your field of vision, and coaching is seeing. You see everything, and what you see tells you what to think, and then that tells you what to do. And at Air Force, you can really coach that way, and that's really ultimately what brings me back to it, is you can coach there. And it's a different world today in coaching, but you can coach there, and that's why I'm really excited to be going back.
All right, now speaking of logistical challenges, I'm going to take a guess here. You've had no contact with your team yet. The players will be coming back. I know the team last year was 12 and 20. I don't know how many guys you have coming back, but have you had any, even like the fashion we're talking now, have you had any contact at all?
Right. Well, what I did was, first was tried to hire some key people on my staff. I haven't hired all of them, but to get guys with me, I was fortunate to hire Sidney Johnson, who was a great player for us at Princeton in the 90s when we were really, really good. And a couple others that I feel really good about. And then after that, probably what I did was in May, right on May 1st, like calendar change. We're moving forward. And from that time on, I think it was May 2nd, every Sunday, we do one of these with the guys on the team, a Zoom or a Microsoft Teams thing. And the guys get on, and we're basing it on our conditioning and strength because can't coach them now, basketball wise.
Right.
But just really the way we're going to play requires a certain conditioning. And it's for Air Force. It's unique to Air Force. It's going to be a conditioning thing. It's going to be we're going to wear you out thing. We're never going to get tired type thing. And we started on that with our strength coach. And, we have a challenge for them every Friday. The week leads up to that. And, way to bring the team together in a way when we're not together. And then we meet on Sundays to talk about that, how that's going, get their input. And then also our guys are still in school and they're finishing up and they got finals come up. So I use that as the time to actually delve into their school and make sure they're doing well. And the big thing is, again, at the academy is just really start to stress with them the integrity of it all. Like your work's your work, your word's your word, your word is your word. And that's, you and I know this. We've known each other forever. My word's my word. It's all we got. And that's what relationships come from. And obviously without being able to be on the court with them to begin to, have them know that we're using this. And again, it's different times. You got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to adjust. And, I feel pretty good about it. On Sundays, I feel like I'm coaching.
Yeah. Okay.
The rest of the week, I'm on the phone and doing things, but I don't know if I'm coaching. So I look forward to those Sundays with the team.
So we're in the middle of May here. You're selling your house in Georgia. As you said, the room we're speaking to you from, there's a lot of boxes. You're heading out to Colorado soon, I assume. I know your oldest son, Ben, is graduating high school, although it's not the kind of graduation that you had obviously planned. And then your younger son, Jack, who I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, was going to school here in New Jersey, is probably going to end up out with you in Colorado.
Yeah, we're still going through that. It's just one of those situations. And the funny part is Ben is going to be going to school at the University of Georgia.
He's staying.
As we leave Georgia, he's staying. As Jack was in New Jersey, because we're going back to Colorado where he was born and where he grew up, there's a likelihood he's going to be coming with us again. And that's just added to the factors in moving. But again, for Lee and I, they're all positives, and
Yeah.
we're just trying to make sure that in all the challenges that are going on, that we stay positive. We're lucky. We're fortunate. I know for Ben, our oldest, this is, like for any senior
Right.
graduating high school, graduating college, I really feel for him. And so it's been a little bit of a challenge, but again, we're staying positive with it. And I think we sell our house next week from today. It's another marker. We're moving forward, so I think we just keep trying to look at it that way. And, hopefully, I know things will turn out well. And the main thing is like I said, we're making sure that in all these situations, we just continue to know, boy, oh boy, are we lucky.
Yeah. So a couple of quick things for you. I know when you could, you always like to come back to the Jersey Shore in the summer with your family and get to the beach. Will you be back at all this summer, or are you heading to Colorado for the rest?
Well, I'm going to head out to Colorado on my own in the beginning of June because the academy is different. I mean, we're going to get started again. The colleges are they going to bring them back. The academy, I mean, they have ways to go ahead, and we're coming back. We're starting again. And, if everything continues the way it is, but they have a
Right.
plan. So I'm going to be out there at the beginning of June, and my staff's we're finally going to assemble out there, in Colorado. And, but we will be back. I mean, through all our journeys that my wife and I have had, the one staple we've had. Now this Colorado, this is another great thing for us. It can become a staple for us again, and our family. But New Jersey has always been our staple. I mean, I've been lucky. I look back at my life and where me and you, in 1972, 73 at Ocean County College, and but to have the boardwalk, have the experiences that we had, very fortunate in that regard, and to still be able to, have our places there. And my kids were able to basically almost grow up. Our kids grew up on the Jersey Shore, grew up there, and every summer spend almost the entire summer there for
Yeah.
5-6 weeks as I was recruiting. And so we're gonna do. Hopefully, we'll be back there. As they move on and do their own things. Our kids might not be 6 straight weeks, but I know we'll be back, and I know we look forward to it because, I know that's where I'm from, and I'm lucky. And through all this, I think my two sons feel like, hey, they're from the shore too, and
Yeah.
there's just something to being from the shore.
Yeah. Well, of course, your parents are still here, and your brother and his family are here. So you obviously have family ties. Got to ask you this one before we get ready to wrap this up. We've had no sports, unless you want to count some of the virtual things. But for basketball fans, we've had 4 weeks in a row of the Michael Jordan documentary series, which I think is one of the best things I've ever seen on television in my life. I wanted your thoughts on it. And is it not great that a whole generation, including your kids, they really only read and heard about him or saw highlights? They could now realize that what I've said, what sets him apart is he might have been the greatest competitor in any team sport ever.
Well, I agree. And I agree with what you're saying. I think it's been great for, say, my children to be able to see him. Because from a basketball standpoint, he is, in my opinion, the greatest. I think you see the reasons why. I mean, one of the most poignant things to me in it was when he went to college. He played college basketball, and you see him playing college basketball. He enjoyed his time in Chapel Hill. He was a college student. You see him going through campus,
Yeah.
and you see him enjoying it, and you see him writing letters to his mom, putting his stamp on it and saying, "Mom, can you send me some money?" He was a college student, and that's what I mean about coaching college basketball.
Yeah.
We're losing that today. You don't see kids aren't like looking forward to playing college. They think, when am I getting to the next thing? When Michael was able to play college, go from high school where he had to fight to make his high school team, which everybody always brings it up, Kevin. He didn't even make his JV team. He was resilient. He didn't quit. He got cut. He stayed. He fought. Well, how come everybody doesn't look at that and tell their own children that? Hey,
Yeah.
you can't just move to another team. You can't just get what you want. You got to work for it. He went to Carolina, same, and then he used that same type of ethic, in the NBA. And I think this show really shows that, brings that out. So I think that's it's such a positive for everybody to be able to see that and see the rivalry with Bird, with Magic, with the Pistons. I mean, to see the '80s in basketball is just unbelievable. And you and I know, and then to see college basketball in the '80s, the Big East, and what the Big East was then with Ewing and Mullen, and just basketball in general at that time. So the one thing I'll say, as you said, he's the greatest in team sports. I think one thing he missed out on, and maybe it was because it's a team sport, is I look at Muhammad Ali as the greatest when it comes to what we're talking about. But that was an individual sport, and he put himself on such a different level with his activism or those things that people learned of him as we went through life. And sometimes that's the knock on Jordan, that he's the greatest ever, and he didn't use that platform that way. So, but I just think you really get a look into seeing how competitive he was and how he played to win. And again, I think it points out to a little bit different era, like we were talking about earlier. Like it was different then. It was different in how he communicated with his teammates and what the teammates thought. And now you fast forward, it's different today, and so, and from a coaching standpoint, you have to know that it's different today, and you have to make sure you coach to get that competitiveness, but you can't do it the same way that it was back in the '80s and the '90s.
Yeah, just doesn't work. Well, I've got some good wishes to send you. Well, everyone at the Jersey Shore wishes you the best, and especially, of course, in Seaside and Pelican Island, where you grew up and where you're held in such high regard. But Coach Ed Sarluca, of course, I talked to him today. He said, please tell Joe I send my best wishes. And this morning, before I came over to do this, I happened to be over in the boardwalk in Seaside, and I ran into Jim Runke and Roger Criney, and of course they send their regards. And a lot of people are really excited that you're back, and we're all going to try and find a way that we can make a trip to Colorado Springs at some point when things all clear up in our country.
Well, when things are, if we're lucky enough, when they do clear up and get back, I want to personally invite you, Coach Sarluca. Mr. Runke always knows he has a standing invitation out and watch practice and be part of what I'm doing. I'm going to throw Ron Crail in there. Ronnie Crail and I are very close, and he knows he has a standing, invitation to come out. But I'd love to have, all you come out, and like you said, I'm just lucky to have had what we've had, and our relationship is special. But there's so many others, and the teammates I had back then, and it's just a special time and a special group of coaches that we had, and I just know I've been lucky, and I'm really excited about what the future holds for me and my family right now.
Well, they say you can't go home again. As I said earlier, you are going to your college basketball coaching home. It's Colorado Springs, and I hope this second stint is a rewarding one for you and one that you and your family enjoy. Really appreciate your time today.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. I look forward to talking to you again soon.